Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks, everyone, so much for tuning in. All right, we're going to jump right into it because there's a lot to cover. And I want to start with President Trump. You know, one of the things President Trump did was that Muslim travel ban. And remember the big to-do about that? People just had meltdowns. They judge shopped, found some Obama-appointed judge and all this stuff. And with everything that's going on right now in Israel, President Trump came out and was talking about things. Let me play this for you. This is President Trump.
And I will once again stand strongly with the state of Israel, and we will cut off the money to the terrorists on day one.
Okay, now, on that first part there, when Trump was in office, he cut off foreign aid to the Palestinians. You know, and the foreign aid to the Palestinians has always been a problem. I remember when Arafat was around, we were giving, I don't know how much money. And Arafat's family didn't live there. Arafat's family lived in Paris, and they lived like billionaires. And they were living like, they probably still are, they were living like billionaires on the U.S. aid, which is what they're doing now.
Well, Brian, when we give these people money, there's no accountability of where this money goes. None. There's no, three-tiered government system of checks and balances. The one here's even a joke. But you give them billions of dollars, there's no audit, there's no money trail, there's no follow-up.
No.
You just give them the money, you put it in accounts, and that's it. And I mean, you don't know where it goes. It could be going to all these leaders and probably where it is, and it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
When they give money to these countries, it's like Zelensky. They're giving billions of dollars to gangsters that are stealing it. So Trump cut off funding to the Palestinians. And if you look, some of the propaganda that the leftists are putting out showing Gaza, if it weren't for the cars, you would think it was like, BC times over there, if it wasn't for the cars. And they're living in poverty over there when we've been giving over the decades trillions of dollars probably over
Where's
all these
all
decades.
That money going? Like you said, people they have
the
families
gangster
in
leaders.
Paris and live and the one Ukrainian guy's daughter was on a yacht in Miami. They're living the high life on our dime.
So Trump cut off the funding to the Palestinians, U.S. funding, and one of the first acts of Joe Biden in his first month in office was to reinstate it. And by the way, with everything that's going on, Joe Biden has not announced cutting it. So anyway, Trump says that's gone as soon as he's in.
And I will once again stand strongly with the state of Israel, and we will cut off the money to the terrorists on day one. And reimpose the travel ban on terror-afflicted countries. You had a travel ban. We think of it. I don't like talking about it, but now I can because the time is up. I went 4 years without a problem. 4 years because I had a travel ban. And the Islamic terrorists weren't allowed. It was very tough for them. I had a very strong travel ban. We didn't have a problem in 4 years. People forget that. People forget what happened before I was there. We had a big, big problem. But the bloodshed and killing that we saw this week will never, ever be allowed to happen on American soil, except for the fact that we have now allowed tens of thousands of probable terrorists into our country. We have people men coming in from China by the thousands. Men, not women, men coming in by the thousands. We have men coming in from the Middle East by the thousands and thousands, and they let them come in, just come right in. There's something going on, and we got to be careful. We need smart leadership. If we don't have smart leadership, we're not going to have a country any longer.
Yeah, and with everything that's going on today, when Trump comes back in office, even if this were going on and he brought in the Muslim ban, they'd be all over him about it again. And,
of course.
We've seen these videos of the southern border where there's these young military-age men coming in, and I've been very suspect of that. I mean, I don't understand what they're doing, why they're coming here, and when we see these Palestinian protests in New York City, it makes me wonder, are some of them guys that came in pretending to be Mexican? Now, there's an article that I'm going to share with you now, and I apologize for the wording here. It's graphic. So, but it's what's going on right now in Israel. Listen to this. The smell of rotting bodies hangs in the air where Hamas terrorists massacred and beheaded families, including 40 children in a savage attack on Israeli soil. It's a small settlement where young parents and their families live. This happened Saturday morning. Hamas gunmen with assault rifles and grenades shot dead screaming families as they begged for their lives before setting fire to their homes. And I saw an Israeli general was interviewed on CNN last night on Anderson Cooper. He said that they kill the babies and the children first in front of the parents. Make the parents watch it, then they kill the parents.
This is like what the Nazis did.
It is. It's exactly the same thing. It's the exact same thing. The terror began just after dawn when most of the 400 residents living there were sleeping or having breakfast with coffee. The first wave of 70 terrorists had roared towards town on motorbikes after tearing through the border wire a mile away while all these terrible things happened. As soon as they arrived, the heavily armed the reason I'm reading a little slow is because some of the descriptions are even too graphic for me to read here on the podcast, so I'm reading slow just so I don't read over a sentence that's a little too graphic. As soon as they arrived, the heavily armed fighters attacked the compound from 4 directions, starting with the baby quarter on the west side where the young families lived. I guess in these settlements they set up in certain ways. The terrorists were met by a frantic guard and a small group of residents with military experience. Everyone in Israel has been in the military. Who were patrolling the perimeter when they saw the swarm of black figures racing towards them.
Oh, my goodness.
They, like the Israeli military and government, were not prepared for the wave of terrorists firing streams of bullets at them. The small security squad tried in vain to protect their neighbors, but they couldn't hold the terrorists off and were killed in the fighting. The ruthless Hamas gunmen moved quickly, first killing a 90-year-old grandmother who had been sitting on her porch when the terrorist arrived. They dragged the terrified pensioner into her living room and shot her twice in the head. Imagine, lived 90 years, and this is her last moment. Families were woken to the terrifying sound of gunfire and voices outside their homes. Terrified parents ran to their sleeping children and pulled them from their beds and cots before bundling them into safe rooms or cupboards. I mean, this is right out of
this is what Netanyahu's been talking about for years and years.
Well, yeah.
And whenever he would do interviews and talk about it, all the liberal media would poo-poo him, and
he's a bigot,
he's
Islamophobe,
paranoid, he's this and that. But he saw it coming, and he's been preparing for this.
What's going on here is what the Jews in Europe dealt with when the Nazis went through the ghettos in Warsaw.
Same thing.
It's the exact same thing, except this is in color and in high definition 4K.
Well, the difference is this time the Jews are going to fight back.
Yeah, well, they can. Back then they couldn't.
They couldn't. They took all their guns and prepared for it in that regard. But this time they have like missiles and stuff.
Remember when the Nazis took power, the first thing they did was take the guns.
That's right.
Among those parents were 30-year-olds. I can't pronounce all the names. I'm sorry, guys. The mother and father, who heard the gunmen trying to smash down their front door. The terrified parents frantically put their 10-month-old twin babies into a hidden shelter. This reminds me of Schindler's List when that little girl was in the,
they were hiding in the sewers and awful.
The terrified parents frantically put their 10-month-old twin babies into a hidden shelter moments before the Hamas terrorists stormed into their home and shot the couple dead.
It's like when they raided the ghetto, the homes to put them in the Jewish ghetto, when they raided their homes.
The terrorists then moved systematically from home to home, blowing open front doors with their rocket-powered grenades and unleashing a hail of bullets at the men, women, and children living there. Entire families had been handcuffed before they were shot point blank one by one, soldiers said. It would later emerge that as many as 40 babies and young children were massacred in this community alone, some of them beheaded, according to Israeli soldiers. Images from the scene show a baby's car seat covered with blood, her small bloody dress laying next to it. And here's a picture, Kathy. These are the two parents.
My goodness.
The Hamas gunmen set fire to several homes in a sick attempt to force the families out so they could gun them down as soon as they reached for the guard. Remember, I told you when they're in the safe rooms, they would burn the houses down if they couldn't get into the safe rooms. Many prefer to die in the fires than be killed by the terrorist, one Army officer said. Some had tried to flee the terrorists. Many were gunned down without mercy, their bodies lying on the grass in front of their homes. One survivor told Euronews the terrorists came into every home, every place. They would burn houses with people inside so they would die. They shot children, babies, old people, anyone. No one was safe from it. The attack was so quick and coordinated. See, this attack was done with military precision. This means that these guys are not just some gang of local punks.
Right.
They were trained in a professional military fashion on going door to door. This is Iran all over it. The attack was so quick and coordinated that the coffee from their Saturday morning breakfast was still on the table in one family's home. Blood and cracked cups covered the kitchen floor. One of the few who managed to flee was a filmmaker who told Israeli media how her husband had helped her and their 1-month-old daughter escape as the gunman entered. She ran into the storeroom before covering her and her baby with sacks of soil. When she heard the gunman getting closer, she ran across the lawn as the terrorists fired at her. She was taken in by a family who let her hide in a safe room. I mean, the Anne Frank here, where they waited for 27 hours until they were rescued. The young mother has since been told that her husband was killed by the terrorist. I really don't know where our state was. They abandoned us. It took the Army 12 hours to reach the community, said one officer.
Why is that, you think?
It's been a long time since anything like this has happened in Israel. And, people look, on 9/11, this is crazy. This came out after 9/11. After 9/11, if you remember, there were fighter jets patrolling over New York City and D.C. They were all unarmed. They didn't have bullets, rockets, or missiles in them.
Oh, I didn't know that.
We didn't have any. I hope this is different now, but it's been over 20 years, so people get complacent. But we did not have on the entire eastern seaboard of the United States, we did not have any fighter jets that were armed. And they were flying in the air unarmed.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
No.
I know, it's insane. It's insane. It took the Israeli army 12 hours to reach us, but the carnage did not end there. The terrorists fought hard to control the community, killing civilians and firing bullets at soldiers. Soldiers told the BBC how it was chaos. Terrorists were everywhere as soon as they arrived. You cannot imagine how difficult the fighting was. It took Israeli soldiers 3 days to recapture the community, shooting dead the Hamas terrorists. Israeli soldiers went from home to home hoping to find survivors. The 10-month-old twin babies bundled into a hidden shelter were rescued. The one with the parents were killed by Israeli soldiers and taken to their grandmother. There's photographs of all of this, and I'm just flipping through the photos. I don't want to see the photos. What is left of the carnage that Hamas terrorists unleashed on this small community is the bullet-ridden bodies of parents and their children and the charred remains of their homes. It goes on with more. See, this is the thing, and we were talking about this on the last podcast and everything else. Israel is supposed to be a safe place for Jews. Israel was established in 1948 because when the Holocaust started, before the killing started, and Jews were losing rights, and then they were starting to segregate them. You know the story. I don't have to tell you, although the killing always was going on. But what I mean when I say before the killing started, I mean when they turned it into an industry, right? With the no country in the world would take the Jews in, not even the United States. All right, President Roosevelt and the Democrats turned Jews away, sent them back to Europe, where they went to concentration camps. So Israel was set up so if God forbid something like the Nazis taking over a country happened again, that the Jews would have a place to go where they wouldn't be slaughtered. And that's what Israel is. And that's why it's nonsense that they have to give all this territory up, of the little territory they have, to people that want to carry out another Holocaust. And my guess would be, what's going to happen in the end of this, who knows? But Gaza is going to be completely leveled. I mean, they've been bombing it the last couple of days with a shock and awe campaign, and the army's going to go in on a ground assault. They're going to
Did that start already? Because I know they were talking
the ground
about
assault. Not at this moment, but it could happen any second. And when you're listening to this later, maybe in the middle of it. But they should take all that area and keep it. And they really need.
I think they will.
The Israelis need to expel all all Palestinians. I mean, and I you know, the country, all the Arab countries around Israel, which are the ones that have oil. Remember, Israel's like the one part of the Middle East with no oil. Mm-hmm. Palestinians live in all these other countries, like Saudi Arabia. Right. Palestinians live in all these countries. And
so why do they want this one tiny area of Israel
to harass the Jews? It's all about just harassing the Jews.
It's a little strip along the coast. Why do they want
to harass the Jews? They hate Jews. It's anti-Semitism.
It's not a religious thing.
No, they're brainwashed. I mean, and it's been going on forever. But that's it. And there's no there's certain groups that you just trying to have coexistence in an area that small between the Palestinians and the Israelis would be like trying to have a community where you had peace with Black Lives Matter living with the Ku Klux Klan.
Well, we all knew when Biden.
Not that I'm comparing the Israelis to either of those groups, but I know. What I'm saying is that
two groups are not meant to live together.
That's exactly right. It's just never going to work out. It is always going to be bloodshed and murder. And that's the way, and unless they're moved out, you know, that's the way it is. And you know, the thing about Israel has very advanced modern weaponry, including nuclear weapons. And the Israelis have always, I know a lot of liberals will disagree with this, but the Israelis have always used restraint. You know, they have enough weapons and an advanced military, they could wipe out all the Palestinian areas there without even blinking, and they never have. And
I don't know that things might change now.
Well, yeah, these Israeli soldiers that go in, it's going to get worse. And if you've noticed though, the Israeli army is doing something that they've never done, not on this level, but there's never been a military action on this level in our time since we were little kids when this stuff happened before. But they have the press embedded with them. They're taking the media along with them, and the Israeli general that's in charge of the frontline forces has made sure that the press, all the international press, anyone who's there has access to all of this. It's very unusual, and the story about the babies being beheaded that came out yesterday, that has gone viral, has turned almost. Unfortunately, not all of it, but almost all of the world against the terrorists. There are still people like Tlaib in Congress that haven't condemned it yet.
That because but you're seeing people that are defending that now getting canceled.
Yeah, which is very unusual.
I was reading that Harvard has come out. You know, there were a lot of like groups that supported all this attack and everything, and then now they're saying that people that come out and openly support it. The Hamas attack are losing their jobs. That these kids come out of these Ivy League schools. Why is it that these professors at these Ivy League schools, why are they brainwashing the students so much to support this and to hate America? Are they just communists? They're just radical left-wing communists that are brainwashing. You know, when I was in college, I went to FSU and you went to FAU. It wasn't the Ivy League. I don't remember really any political discussion in any of my classes.
It's because I'm sure
they have different classes. You said like David Hogg takes a class understanding the right wing. I mean, I didn't have classes like that at Florida State.
He took David Hogg's out of school now, but he took a course that I saw an interview with him. The history of right-wing extremist movements in America.
That's the kind of stuff that's probably a required course at Harvard.
The universities. This started decades ago. The universities were taken over by the communists, and America's enemies have infiltrated the universities to brainwash. Now, I got an email yesterday from Mike Lindell. I read some of it on my live stream this morning, and I did a live stream on YouTube last night, and I read some of it too. I got an email from Mike Lindell. Mike Lindell's in trouble. You know, you guys know about all the lawsuits he's facing.
Yep.
His lawyers went to federal court and asked a federal judge to be released from representing him because he can't pay them.
Oh.
You know, and Mike Lindell, he in this email that I got from him yesterday, he sent a list of things that have happened to him in MyPillow, and it's not even a complete list. So many things have happened. He has about half a dozen audits going on against him right now. He was kicked out of all the big stores, Walmart, right? Kohl's, won't carry MyPillow products. His bank debanked him. Remember that? They made him close out his accounts. American Express took his credit line away, which is what he used to cover shipping for the products. And a lot of businesses use American Express. There's a lot of fraud when you use debit cards and things like that. And American Express is vital to a business like MyPillow because it helps. So they took their credit away. Remember, he was raided at a fast food drive-through, and is in the town he lives in, where MyPillow headquarters are. The FBI surrounded him in the drive-through of a fast food restaurant, and they took his phone away from him, which they've never given back. And there is other things too. I mean, the list, it goes on and on. The harassment. Mike Lindell is going through what Donald Trump is going through in many, many ways with all of these bogus court cases and harassment against him and his businesses, right? Both of them. And it's god awful. So Mike Lindell has set up some specials, right? Special specials that are available at mypillow.com with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. I get messages from people sometimes, and they'll say, how can I help Mike Lindell? Well, the best thing you could do is buy MyPillow products, and if you use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane at mypillow.com, not only will you be helping out Mike Lindell, you'll be helping us out, and you'll get huge savings. So if you go to mypillow.com and click on the radio podcast section, there's an amazing sale going on the slippers, Kathy. And there's other specials. That's not what Mike calls them, but that's what I'm calling them because
extra specials.
Yeah, special specials, extra specials. If you go to the radio podcast page at mypillow.com, and there's a lot there, but this is the one I just want to tell you guys about now. The MyPillow My Slippers, which I have and love. Steve Kane, he loves his. Steve wore his on the cruise the whole time, even to dinner on formal night. He has the charcoal ones. Nobody knew. I knew, and I said, "Oh, you got my slippers on." I made a big deal about it because I wanted to show everybody. He's like, "Yeah, they look nice." He's wearing them with his fancy suit. The MyPillow My Slippers are normally $139.98. That's what we paid for mine. They are $100 off with his special.
Wow,
just $39.98. And they got a bunch of new colors in and sizes. They have bigger and wider sizes for the men and smaller sizes for women and children, and a whole bunch of new colors too. So they are $100 off. And again, you can take advantage of all the specials at mypillow.com. Make sure you use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. The reason I get emails like that from Mike Lindell is because they know when you use our promo code Kane at checkout, how much you support us through your support of him and buying these great products. And I hear from Mike in his office all the time. They are blown away at the support from this audience. So it's greatly appreciated. All right. Now, again, $100 off the My Slippers. These make great Christmas gifts for both men and women. $100 off with our promo code Kane, Kane, at checkout.
Are cyber threats keeping you up at night? October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and there's no better time to order the book, Building Cyber Vigilance and Resilience, from author John Bromfield, on Amazon, available in Kindle, paperback, and Kindle Unlimited. Using hundreds of hours of expert research and decades of experience, Building Cyber Vigilance and Resilience is a straightforward and actionable guide designed for business leaders, IT experts, and cybersecurity leaders. Whether you have a security strategy or you're just starting from scratch, this book empowers you with practical insights to fortify your business, covering all the essential components, risk transfer methods, data security practices, common vulnerabilities, and much, much more. Engage your teams, advisors, and partners with confidence, embarking on a structured journey to secure your assets and operations. The cybersecurity threats of today demand swift and decisive action. Are you ready to fortify your business against the ever-evolving threats of the digital world? Then act now by ordering your copy of Building Cyber Vigilance and Resilience from author John Bromfield on Amazon, available in Kindle, paperback, and Kindle Unlimited. From author Saj Mahalingam comes a heart-pounding journey into the world of crime and redemption in the book Kitchen Fork, an intriguing crime thriller available right now on Amazon. Meet Jin, a man willing to risk it all to rescue his family from the most guarded detention camps in North Korea. But when the moment of opportunity finally arrives, the price is higher than he ever imagined. The night of escape leaves the family divided, with their lives changed forever. Their 11 and 8-year-old must survive alone in the dark woods, waiting for a mother and sister who never appear. The two boys are captured and sent to an orphanage. Their destinies take an unexpected turn. Then there's Jin's wife and their youngest child, who face a difficult decision, one that will haunt them for years. The sons find themselves in the United States, where they form the most feared gang in Chicago. Initially formed to combat bullies, this gang takes a dark turn into drug trafficking and other criminal activities. Kitchen Fork is about family, crime, and redemption. Order your copy right now on Amazon. Kitchen Fork, an intriguing crime thriller from author Saj Mahalingam, available on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover editions. This Christmas, experience the magic of the season with the book Searching for Christmas from author Andre Herdukas, available on Amazon. In Searching for Christmas, meet Ben, a young boy from an isolated orphanage who's never had the chance to experience the beauty of Christmas. But this year, everything changes. Ben embarks on a thrilling adventure to discover the holiday he's only dreamt of. To make his dream come true, he must conquer his fears and learn to play the accordion, hoping to charm the hearts of the townspeople. But his journey has its challenges. He must face the taunts of children in the orphanage and navigate the dangers of the forest on his way to the city. Along the way, Ben finds an unexpected friend in Dave, and together they learn the true meaning of friendship in the search for Christmas. Searching for Christmas is a touching story that will warm your heart and remind you of the joy and wonder that this magical season brings. Searching for Christmas is available in Kindle, paperback, and audiobook on Amazon. This will become a treasured part of the holiday season with your family. Order your copy of Searching for Christmas from author Andre Herdukas, available on Amazon in ebook, paperback, and audiobook.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. Now, before we get back to the issues of the Middle East, I've gotten a lot of response from a live stream I did on YouTube last evening about Ron DeSantis' shoes, and I just want to talk to you guys about this. If you did not see that live stream I did on YouTube, go to my YouTube channel, Brian Craig Show on YouTube. You can't miss it. It's just a couple of videos before this podcast episode on the channel, but in the thumbnail, there's an outline around Ron DeSantis' shoes. And I just want to talk to you guys about this because and hear your thoughts, Kathy. Ron DeSantis, I told you guys a year ago when I was with him at that fundraiser before he betrayed Trump and MAGA, how he could never be president because he's like 5'6". And I'm not going to tell the whole story again, you guys. I've told it so many times. But no one picked up on this. And people kept telling me, oh, I Googled it, and he's 5'9". I'm like, I don't care what Google says. He's not 5'9". I was with the man, and I was as close to him as I am to my wife right now, even closer. Because we're sitting here talking on the podcast, right? And people were telling me all year, Google says he's 5'9". Well, Google lies, okay? Not everything on the internet's true. I was in front of the man. And then a couple weeks ago, he went on Bill Maher's HBO show, which I did not watch because I'm not interested in anything that Benedict Arnold has to say. And then yesterday, it was either yesterday or the day before, President Trump tweeted a photograph that came from TikTok of someone who did an examination of the cowboy boots that Ron DeSantis was wearing on Bill Maher. Now, Ron DeSantis wears cowboy boots, but he's a native Floridian, and Kathy and I, of course, are in Florida. Florida is the South, and a lot of good old boys in Florida, they wear cowboy boots even when they're lawyers and judges and things like that. It's not as common as it used to be when I was younger, like in the 80s.
Well, he lives in Tallahassee. It's pretty common up there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
very
that's
common.
good old boys up there.
And I just thought that he was wearing cowboy boots because he was a Florida good old boy, and he's been wearing cowboy boots to make him a little taller. But the boots that he was wearing on Bill Maher were very different, and they're custom-made boots. And I came home. I talked about this on the radio yesterday morning. I came home, and we have the HBO app. It's called Max now. So I pulled up the HBO app. I pulled up the episode from 2 weeks ago of Bill Maher's show, which I never have done before. I do not watch that. And DeSantis comes out and steps on stage, and he's towering over Bill Maher. I know Bill Maher's not tall, but I know he's not 5 foot tall. Okay, and I was like, And then DeSantis sits down. And the reason I did this is I wanted to see if the photograph of the shoes was real and not Photoshopped. And sure enough, it's the same shoes. And the shoes are custom made that have a heel that's, how high do you think it is, Kathy?
Oh, I looked at the picture. I think it's about a 6-inch heel.
Yeah, it's about a 6-inch heel. And
put it this way, his foot, if you look at the top of the shoe, you could see that's the top of his foot. You could see it's like tight on that top of that foot. And his foot is at like a 45-degree angle.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you move your foot about a 45-degree angle off the ground, you're talking 5 or 6 inches off the ground. And
easily.
And then you also, if you look at the picture where the shoe bends at the toes, it's too sharp of a bend. You could tell there's no toes in there.
They're like clown shoes.
They do. There's no toes at the tip of that shoe because the bend is too strong.
That's right.
So if you look at the photo where they drew the foot, that's accurate because his toes end where that shoe bends.
That's right.
And the angle of the top of that foot, which you can see through the leather, is pressed against the top. If you look at that picture, you can see how somebody drew it because nobody has a normal heel that's like 6 inches big. It's definitely
crazy.
He's got definitely at least 4 inches in there.
So yeah, and
probably more.
I would describe the heel because the Barbie movie's out, and which we've not seen. But every time I see a clip from the Barbie movie, they show she takes off her shoes and her foot's in a natural spot like that.
Right.
They're like Barbie heels.
Yeah, no, it's like a 6-inch heel, I would say.
And there's a few things about that. First of all, I find it comical that at least half of his agenda is taking on the transgendered agenda against, about biological man competing women's. And here he is in drag.
His feet are anyway.
His feet are in drag.
Yeah.
But these specialty boots that he's wearing, this is new. Was not what he was wearing when I met him last year. These are not the boots he's worn in the past because I've noticed his boots many times and at events.
It's like in platform shoes.
Yeah.
They're that high.
They're that higher maybe.
And I think you're right. I think
let me tell you guys what I think happened, okay? And then you can tell me what you think, Kathy, because I don't know about shoes. I've been telling you guys for a year this, and when Kathy and I have been talking about his poll numbers going down in Iowa and New Hampshire, I told Kathy, he comes into a room and people are shocked. Their first shock is how short he is.
Right.
And the second shock is how weird he is, right? We've talked about that. And I think that the Paul Ryan, Bush, Karl Rove people that are running his campaign recently had these specialty shoes made because they've either done polls or heard people
Brian,
talking.
if you remember, Jeb Bush stood on his tiptoes in a picture.
He's tall.
Yeah, but so he's obviously advising DeSantis because the height is important to Jeb Bush, even though he's already a tall guy. When he took a picture on the stage of the debate next to Trump, he stood on his tiptoes to look a little taller because Trump's about 6'4". So he wanted to look as tall or taller than Trump. So he stood on his tiptoes for the photograph. I mean, how insecure do you have to be if you're already 6'2" and you got to stand on your tiptoes? So he's obviously advising DeSantis, and this is one of his things. And I think you're right. I think they're getting feedback from people. I'm sure they're doing like polling and having people fill out cards and things like that. Or they might even have people undercover in the audience kind of listening to murmuring to what people are saying. And they're probably hearing a lot of people saying he's a lot shorter than I thought. And he is. I mean, I remember when you met him, and you that was the first thing you said, and you've been talking about his height being an issue forever. And I think that's definitely, if he's wearing shoes like that, the height is definitely a problem that they feel they can fix. But here's the deal. It's just not his time. It's not meant to be.
It never will be his time now.
And well, now it won't be. But even Trump said if he would have waited and supported me, he said he would have walked right into it. And he would have. And if he would have but I'm glad he didn't, because then he would have been phony. And I think he just feels that when he won, I said this before, when Miami-Dade flipped, that was a big deal down here because Miami-Dade's been blue forever. He really thought that he did that himself, and it really went to his head. I mean, it really went to his head. I think it was probably the first thing he felt he won ever on his own.
Yeah.
And it really, after that, it's like a switch flipped in him, and he should have just said to whoever was really, Youngkin, They're haven't been successful because he sees what's happening with DeSantis, and he's like, I'm not going to destroy my career over this. Now maybe he's waiting till next year to see what happens with Trump. I don't know, but DeSantis really just made a miscalculation on this beyond. And going on Bill Maher's show, even Bill Maher said to him, "If you're on my show, that must mean you're really desperate." Going on that show and wearing heels. It shows you the state of his campaign now. It'll be interesting because you told me he's running out of money. He's down to like a couple $1 million. I mean, they could blow that in a day. I haven't seen any ads down here in Florida at all.
They're all in Iowa.
He's blown all his money up north. What a waste. What a waste of money. And now these donors are panicked because they don't know where to put. They don't want to support Trump, but that's what's going to end up happening because they sure as hell don't want Biden in. But Trump's going to be the guy, and he's going to get their money eventually because that's what they're going to do. But they got nobody.
So people, what the feedback I've gotten is, so what? Who cares that he wears the platform high heels?
It shows his state of mind. That's why it's important.
Well, it shows
the desperation, and it shows the gimmicks and the lengths that he will go to. And it shows how sad and pathetic his campaign has become, where he has to wear 6-inch heels to try to get people to like him, and because it's a height thing.
It's a couple of things. It's that, which I'll expand on.
I think it says a lot.
One shows his just dishonesty, and
exactly, that's true,
and how he's into deception, and it shows how pathetically insecure he is. And someone that wants to be president cannot be someone who's pathetically insecure. That leads to manipulation. And if someone is so into deception on something that's petty like this,
well, he lied about MAGA.
What else would he be petty about?
He is deceptive. He put MAGA hats on his kids and read them books. I could just see him and his wife late at night in their bedroom practicing walking in heels. I mean,
well, he does walk in them very well.
Well, you have to practice. Okay, have you ever worn high heels?
No.
Any guy who puts on high heels is going to be very awkward. Now, maybe he's worn lifts his entire life as an adult like Tom Cruise. Maybe he's always had 2 or 3 inch lifts in his shoes, which would not surprise me. So maybe he does have some practice with the 2 or 3 inch lifts already, and he's been wearing that. And I think they just added an extra lift in those shoes. I think he normally walks around with 2 or 3 inches all the time. And he's done that for years and years, and I think they just added an extra lift in there to double it.
It's pretty bad. Now, I want to take a moment to thank our Patreon supporters. And, if you become a Patreon supporter, you get access to a lot of exclusive things that no one else sees. Kathy posts a lot of things up there. Sometimes I think it's too personal and inside, but she does it anyway. Sometimes you'll say, I posted this up, or I was like, oh, okay, But it's fine. So
it's not too personal.
Well, when you're a Patreon supporter, you get access to things that no one else sees. Oftentimes, not even me until they're on the Patreon page. Sometimes I'll see something up there. I'm like, oh, okay. Also, you have access to commercial-free editions of all the podcast episodes. And if you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the episode description. And one of the benefits, if you become a top Patreon supporter, you get a live on-air thank you shout out on every episode. So the names you will hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Rome, Wisconsin, Mike P, Carlos, Paulette, John, Arctic Fox, Heather, David, Richard, Melissa, and Maria in Texas. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you so much, everyone. Oh, before we go, one of our Patreons is UK Neil. You guys know UK Neil? He's been with the show for a long time, and he's a Patreon supporter. He is soon coming to America to visit from the UK, and he's actually going to be staying for a couple of days in a hotel near our house.
When is that going to be?
In a few weeks. And so I'm going to meet up with UK Neil. There's an English pub that I like.
You've known him through the internet, through the show for years.
Oh, like 10 years maybe. I don't know.
That'll be great. You'll have to definitely get a picture of the two of you together.
Yeah, and he goes to Trump's Resort in Scotland and stuff sometimes, and he's really cool. UK Neil. So I'm going to meet him at this English pub that I've been going to for years. We'll have some Guinness. I'm going to take him up to Mar-a-Lago because he'll get to see Mar-a-Lago.
That'll be fun. And
then, since he's from the UK, I'm going to take him to do something that he's never done before. I'm going to take him to the gun range.
That'll be fun.
Oh my goodness! It's so much. If you've never been to a gun range with someone from the UK and they've never been before, it's amazing. I've done this before with Steve Kane. When you see their face the first time they fire off a weapon on the gun range, it's like nothing you've ever seen. I love it.
Do they get scared?
No, they're happy. They're smiling. It's like amazing. So I'll take them to the gun range with my Glock 48, my 38, and maybe we'll rent a couple of guns because you can't do that in the UK. It's not like here.
Not.
No. So I'm looking forward to that.
It'll be a once in a lifetime experience for him.
Oh yeah,
unless he moves to America,
and I'll make a YouTube video about it. It'll be a lot of fun. UK Neil, I can't wait. Cannot wait. All right, I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back after this. Don't go anywhere.
From author L. Falloon comes the epic adventure, The Boy Who Knew Fire. Thomas Kane series Book 1, available on Amazon. In The Boy Who Knew Fire, meet Thomas. He's an ordinary boy who discovers an extraordinary destiny on his 13th birthday. He's about to become the shepherd, a guardian of the elements, and the key to Earth's future. But there's a catch. The awakening of the new elements is still 5 years away. That is, until an ancient adversary, known as the Null, awakens them prematurely, throwing the world into chaos. Now, Thomas must rise to the challenge and become Earth's most unlikely hero. In a heroic journey that's filled with twists, turns, and unimaginable challenges, he's destined to protect the elements and save the world. Order your copy of this thrilling and heartwarming story of courage, destiny, and the power of unlikely heroes. The Boy Who Knew Fire, Thomas Kane series Book 1, from author L. Falloon, available on Amazon. From veteran middle school teacher with over 30 years of classroom experience and author Cynthia Foran comes the book, The Green Patrol, available on Amazon. When you read The Green Patrol, you'll enter a fantastical world beneath the earth where Nicholas Stewart, a 12-year-old with ASD, discovers a kingdom seeking vengeance against humanity. Gifted with special powers and faced with an impossible choice, Nick is torn between loyalties. Will he protect those he loves or pledge allegiance to the mysterious underground realm? Find out when you read The Green Patrol from author Cynthia Foran. You'll experience the adventure through the eyes of his devoted friend Jason as they navigate a world of peril and wonder. It's a tale of friendship, loyalty, and destiny that will whisk you away on a breathtaking journey. Available on Amazon in both Kindle and paperback. The Green Patrol from author Cynthia Foran. Order your copy right now and begin the adventure. Attention educators and homeschooling families. Are you in search of top educational tools as well as resources at prices you can afford? Look no further than ReadNovelStudies.com. Read Novel Studies offer a wide range of original novels, including their latest, The Locomotive. In The Locomotive, readers will meet Ed and Charlie Whittle, two brothers seeking to escape a troubled home life. Their adventure begins when they stumble upon an abandoned locomotive being restored by the mysterious Jim Smith. Promised excitement and intrigue, they embark embark on a cross-country journey, even starting a new business along the way. But hold on, the plot thickens. When Sully and Lamont join their crew, the once promising venture takes a dark turn. As secrets are revealed, fear and danger intensifies. Stranded on the train, Eddie and Charlie must rely on their wits to survive. Join them on this adventure that's filled with secret alliances, hidden communications, and the ever-present threat of betrayal. But that's not all. Read Novel Studies also offers educational resources, including coloring books. Their resources exceed the standard requirements taught in numerous English-speaking countries, including the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand, and more. Don't miss out on this educational journey with Read Novel Studies, online at readnovelstudies.com. That's REED, readnovelstudies.com. Visit the site right now and unlock a world of engaging and informative educational resources. readnovelstudies.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Okay, so this is not resolved as of the recording of this podcast, but Scalise won the first-round pick to be Speaker for the Republicans. He beat out Jim Jordan. This is not the floor vote. It's not been decided yet. It could still go elsewhere, but right now, as we speak, Scalise is the favorite.
Yeah, I think they're going to pick him.
And, Scalise, he got shot by that Bernie Sanders campaign guy, so he's got a lot of sympathy because of that. And I respect the guy, But he's also got cancer, and he's pretty sick. He's got cancer, and he wears that N95 mask. Because
what kind of cancer?
I don't remember offhand, but it's serious enough where he's afraid of catching anything. He's wearing that N95 all the time. And
he's probably gone through chemo, so his white count is he's a little low. He's got to be extra careful.
But I've heard other members of Congress who were around him saying he's just not healthy enough. But it looks as of now he's going to get it. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, we might as well just have Kevin McCarthy back. Maybe. He's not my pick. My pick is Donald Trump, okay? And if it couldn't be Donald Trump, my second pick is Marjorie Taylor Greene. Nowhere on my list of picks was Steve Scalise, all right? I respect the guy because of what he's gone through, but
let's see what he does with it. I hope he's better than McCarthy.
Well, this is the thing about this is the reason I'm not happy about Scalise is when they were debating on the House floor getting rid of this jerk last week. Steve Scalise was on the campaign almost in tears supporting Kevin McCarthy. And it was it was too impassioned. I've never seen a man so passionate about another man. It was so bizarre. It was just weird. And I'm like, oh my goodness, and my opinions on Steve Scalise changed immediately right there. So I'm not happy about it. But I have no control over it. Okay, so I don't worry about things at that level that I have zero control over it. All we can do is gripe about it, and let's hope that he's a better man than the previous jerk was. Now, this is this is out of Deadline. CBS and Paramount are hit with a discrimination suit by ex-60 Minutes producer who says that 60 Minutes is a toxic work environment against women at the network. A former 60 Minutes producer claims she was falsely fired from 60 Minutes last year, and now she's suing CBS, CBS News, and Paramount for discrimination and naming a lot of names. She says it's toxic for women. And I'm not going to read you through the whole story there. But the thing about that is 60 Minutes has been running around for 50 years. Mm-hmm. These liberals on 60 Minutes have been running around for 50 years judging everybody.
Yep.
Judging everybody and calling everybody out and destroying lives, destroying companies, destroying different people. And here we find that even after Harvey Weinstein and all these other things, that they have a toxic environment against women.
Shocker.
And this story needs to be highlighted.
What's worse, working in Hollywood or working in the national media?
Well, the media
market
is part of the entertainment industry.
No, but I'm saying, which do you think is worse? I think they're equally bad. You have the same issues with sex scandals and cheating and sexual harassment, bigotry. You seem to have the same problems. And actors and people in the media love to go on TV and talk about how awful everything else is in the world. It's a lot of projection.
Yeah.
What's going on is people want to project off of what they're doing. You know, they want to hold up a mirror and reflect things off of themselves onto others. And that's what's going on with that in the media. I would imagine that it's toxic in a lot of places. In mainstream, when you get to that level and you get to that kind of money, you know, where you got people making millions and millions of dollars, how could it not be toxic? You have money and power, which is a dangerous combination, and you have people on TV that are famous. News people are just as famous as actors. You see them on TV all the time, every day. Everybody knows who Martha McCallum is, or Brett Baer, or Jake Tapper. When they go places, it's no different than being like a Tom Cruise. They might even be more famous, like if you're on CNN, because you're on TV all the time, every day, and people see you everywhere. And I think when you have that combination of money, fame, and power, I think it's just a trifecta of how can you be a humble, good person when you're in that world? You lose sight of who you are, and you become this horrible monster of a person that will do anything and say anything to maintain. Like you talked about Brett Baer. I don't know him, but he's got a $37 million home. Can you imagine that he bought here in Florida? His wife has
and that's not even his only home.
His wife has had so much work done. She doesn't even look human anymore. He's had work done. They have a lifestyle now. I'm sure they probably belong to the same country club as Don Jr. in Palm Beach. And they're living a lifestyle. And once you get into that lifestyle and you're living in a mansion and you're hobnobbing, you don't want to walk away from that. You'll do whatever you have to do to maintain your kids go to schools that cost $50,000 a year. You're on a whole other level, and that's a lot of pressure for anybody. And you start to lose, and the same thing with acting, and you start to lose sight of who you really are, and you start saying things and doing things that you probably thought you would never do or say because they're paying you a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, you know, the news
money's the root of all evil.
When I first started in radio, I was young, right? Guys, I tell you how I've been doing this for over 30 years. So I was like 19, 20.
Very naive.
Yeah, and I was sexually harassed by men and women. Okay, gay men and women, not gay women, straight women and gay men. I was
going to say gay. Yeah. Exactly.
And no, I'm serious. And it was predatory, but I just thought, well, that's how it is. And you know what? If I were gay,
did you have people offer you jobs or promotions in exchange for things?
They don't say that. They don't say.
How do they? Or they
don't say if you have sex with me, you'll get this or you'll get that.
So how do they say it?
They just are very nice to you and offer things, and it's
like understood.
It's understood. That's correct. Yeah, And if I were gay and went that way, okay, I'd be much more well-known person than I am today. I don't know how it would have fizzled out, but I would have.
You would have slept your way to the top.
No, I said I would not. I would have. I said if I would. And so far as the women, well, I was a young guy at the time, and these women were like old ladies,
like our age.
They were younger than we are now, but they were like old ladies to me then. And so it was. But I didn't go around.
That's the way the world works.
I didn't go around and whine about it. That's just the way it is.
It's never going to change.
And things may be different now for people, but that's just how it's been because anything, and I don't know what it's like because I haven't done anything else other than broadcasting, except when I was like in high school, I had jobs, but I really haven't done anything other than that. But when I was in high school, I was a stockman and a bag boy at the grocery store at Publix, which is the big grocery chain here. And the Publix I worked at, all the cashiers were beautiful. The manager only hired good-looking girls to be. They didn't have guys as cashiers then; it was only girls.
Right.
And he wasn't ashamed of it. He says, "Well, yeah." He says customers want to come in and see good-looking people. So he says, "I don't hire people that aren't good-looking." He would say that. Now this was like in the 80s, and I know things maybe
it's not like that now.
Things may be different now. There's not as much heterosexuality in our country anymore. But that's just how it's always been. And I don't think I'm any different. I think people that are listening to this that are my age, around my age, in whatever profession you all have been in, it's been that way in your profession too. And I'm not saying it's right, and I'm not saying that these things are justifiable, but it is traumatic. One of the I don't want to say too much, but one of Kathy knows everything because I've told Kathy all this the details of this stuff. It's being harassed like this. Most of the people that it was so long ago. Most of the people, men and women, that like sexually harassed me. It's so ridiculous to say that, isn't it? Many of them have died. And I will tell you, when they've passed on and I find out about it, it's a bit of a relief that they're not in my life anymore, even though I don't have any contact with them.
No, I know what
you know what I mean? And it's a terrible thing. And people that have gone through these things. And
like this girl who's saying
it's awful.
CBS is toxic and all this. The standard of what's toxic and has changed.
Oh, that's for sure.
The standard of sexual harassment, to me, probably has changed. I mean, if you're working at a company, Bill O'Reilly made some comment, wasn't appropriate what he did, but it was just a comment. Does he really deserve getting fired over it? He didn't like lock her in his office like Matt Lauer. I feel like, a guy or even a woman can just make a comment, and if it personally, some people will hear a comment and it'll go in one ear and out the other. They won't even think about it. They'll be like, whatever, that's just the way things are. I'm not going to let it bother me. And then other people, you say something and it really hits them the wrong way, and that's it. They file a report against you and you're done. And I feel like this is a trend now. I'm not saying that there isn't a toxic environment at CBS. I have no clue. But it seems like it's a trend now where a woman especially, somebody will say something or she'll get passed over for promotion that she feels she deserves. And it's like, well, they're sexist and this and that, and I'm going to report it, and I'm going to get a big settlement, and that's the new trend.
Well, one last thing on this. I knew a guy that he ran a radio station, and a woman at the radio station that worked at the radio station, she came to people come to radio stations all the time and just hang out, and they'll bring friends with them and stuff to show them around. This woman that worked at a radio station I worked at came to a radio station with her friend, went up to the guy that ran the radio station, grabbed him, hugged him, and kissed him.
Just did it,
and then she threatened sexual harassment, and she had her friend as a witness.
Yeah,
I'm
sure stuff like
and
that
she got a promotion.
Men get entrapped.
There's a lot of entrapment that goes on now. All these terrible things that are going on in Israel right now. It's gonna get a lot worse than it is now because the media have been on Israel's side. We'll see how long that lasts when they start the ground war. But
I think what's going to happen is you're going to now. You can't stop things from being put on Twitter, and I don't think Elon Musk will stop it. But I think in a week or so, you're going to stop seeing as much coverage on the news.
Yeah.
They're going to move on, and because they're turning public opinion the wrong way.
Yes.
And they don't like that. They want you to think a certain way, and they're going to not put something on TV that's going to get you to think the opposite way. You know what I mean? They have an agenda as usual.
Yeah.
And all these people in the news a lot of them are just like-minded.
Well, yeah, I've been telling people that the media are not usually so pro-Israel, but because all this graphic information is coming out,
they can't defend the indefensible.
They're forced into it. And I wanted just to play a little bit of this. And the reason I want to play this is because this is what it used to be like in the media. So Andrea Mitchell on MSNBC, she has a woman on whose 2 sons were kidnapped right out of their home from their bedrooms by the terrorist, right? And she's on with Andrea Mitchell, and Andrea Mitchell is trying to get her to come out against the military response by the Israeli army into the region.
Why would she do that when they took her 2 kids?
Because she's she's old school media, and she hates Israel.
Yeah.
And twice she tries to get the woman whose 2 sons not only were kidnapped from their home, from their bedrooms, they're being held captive. Hopefully they're still alive. They're being held captive by the terrorists and in Gaza. And twice Andrea Mitchell tries to get her to condemn Israel's military action in response to the attacks. Listen to this.
But what are your feelings about the attacks against Gaza right now? How can the government?
Look, you're looking for a symmetrical situation, and I must say, it isn't. If you were dealing with a war who is between 2 countries don't take children hostages. I'm sorry. It's against the laws of war. It's against humanity. It's against anything that we all believe in. Every time we had missiles shot at us, I used to say to my children that they should be sympathetic towards the children of Gaza because they suffer a lot more than they do. I'm not sure I still believe in it now. And I must say, the only worry I have now from the bombings in Gaza is the fact that my children are there. I can't be sympathetic anymore. I can't be sympathetic to animal human beings, well, they're not really human beings, who came into my house, broke everything, stole everything, took my children from their bedrooms and took them to the Gaza Strip. Israel never done that and will never do. So there is no symmetry. I'm sorry.
Do you want the government?
I'm sorry for being so emotional.
See, here she goes. Here's Andrea Mitchell. She's trying to get her to say, do you want the government to not invade? Do you want them not to bomb? That's what she's trying to get her to say.
Yeah.
So there is no symmetry. I'm sorry.
Do you want the government?
I'm sorry for being so emotional.
Do you want the government to put the top priority on getting the hostages out before they retaliate?
I want my government to put it on the first priority, and I want the world to put it on first priority. I think any mother in the world should try and imagine her children under that situation and then think again. That's all I want. I want the world to ask them to release children, to release elderlies, to release the civilians they took. There is no reason to hold them there. They are not soldiers, they are not part of the war, and they have nothing to do with it. We gave them work permits. We really believed that this was the way to move their economy, to reconnect these 2 so-called countries. This is not the way a country behaves. This is the way that a terror organization behaves. I'm sorry. So again, there's no symmetry.
Yeah, see, that's how the media used to be. Andrea Mitchell, you notice in all of that, she had no criticism of the terrorist, Andrea Mitchell, when she's talking to this mother. All of her criticism, I know it seems mild, but it's not. It's just clever. Her criticism is subdued, but it's against Israel responding. Like Israel's just supposed to suck this up and not respond. You could hear it in Andrea Mitchell's questioning and her tone. She backed off because she knew she wasn't going to win against the grieving mob. Now, another thing about what's going on, the person that is really upset about this too is Zelensky. This war in Ukraine is going to get wrapped up right quick.
Yep.
And, what we're seeing in Israel, that's a real war as opposed to what's going on in Ukraine, which is a wag that...
we don't see anything what's happening in the Ukraine. I think this is going to cause a major shift in support of the Ukraine and funding.
Yep.
And Zelensky, of course, is worried about that now the focus is going to be on Israel, which it should be. And again, you're not seeing images out of the Ukraine like this. You're not seeing Putin and these people
because this isn't happening
attacking them. And And what you had said to me is it's just at a stalemate, like everything's just kind of stopped. But they don't want you to realize that. They want you to think it's still going. I think both countries have things have kind of just slowly fizzled down, because I don't see these kind of images on the news or on Twitter, because there's no images there to be put online or anything.
Let me tell you, we're 5 days in to this in Israel. If there was violent, bloody war activity going on in Ukraine, Zelensky would have made sure we saw it by now.
Absolutely.
Because they're panicked that the gravy train is going to stop because of this real war that's going on in Israel. And I hope it will. If Scalise gets in as speaker, whoever our next speaker is, that needs to be their first priority.
We've got to stop giving them money. We've given them enough, and nobody knows where it's going or what's happening to it. And the Democrats just love to spend money. It's like a sick urge they have. They just love to spend our money on and just write blank checks. Mm-hmm. And they think that solves every problem in the world. Like when you talk to Democrats about the border, their only answer is hire more troops, hire more border patrol. No, the solution is to close the border, not to hire more border patrol people. Cut it off at the root. The problem. Stop it where the problem is occurring. They just want to put a Band-Aid and throw money at everything.
Because they steal a bunch of it.
The inner cities that are falling apart, instead of actually fixing the problem, fixing up the schools, making them safer, getting rid of the drugs. They just keep want to pump more money into things, and you don't see that. They don't know what the hell they're doing.
Now, Kathy, we got to tell people about the Mighty Maga Lion. We got another batch going out tomorrow. You guys that have been ordering the Mighty Maga Lions, which are available at mightymagalion.com, mightymagalion.com. Every day, I've been going to the post office with as much as I could carry.
People love them. They're adorable.
And we've even had – I did not even know you could do this, and this is something I learned, and maybe everybody else knew this and you're laughing at me. But you can have the post office come to your house and pick packages up. Yep. And so the post office has been coming and picking up packages, and then more of you guys order them. So then we box up more, and then I go and to the post office and mail them. And thank you guys so much. You know, the Mighty Maga Lion, a few things about this. One, it is Kathy found this out. I didn't realize this when we came up with the whole concept. It's the only one of these Trump, what would you call it? Like Trump trinkets, Trump?
No, like a Trump. I looked.
Souvenir.
I could not find, even at the Trump store, they have a teddy bear.
Yeah.
They all have bears. And it's got a Trump shirt, but no MAGA hat.
Yeah, ours is the only one with a MAGA hat.
Trumpy bear doesn't have a MAGA hat. The Trumpinator, the Trump bear, they're all bears. I like bears, but none of them have a MAGA hat. This is the only one I have been able to find that actually has the MAGA hat on it, and it's a lion. Nobody else has that. They all have bears. Nobody else has a lion with a MAGA hat. So this is the only place you can get one, and I'm telling you, they're adorable. People love them. They're really great for Christmas. If you have anybody who loves Trump in your family, no matter what their age, you got to get them this. MightyMagaLion.com. They will absolutely love it. I'm telling you. We're getting great feedback from people that are getting them. They just love them.
Absolutely. And I'm hearing from people every day.
They're very well made. They're very soft. And the face is adorable, and he's got the hat on, and it's just the cutest thing ever.
And remember, the Mighty Maga line is exclusively available through us. That's right. Kathy and I partnered up with
D. We had it made.
Yeah, we partnered up with D, who's one of our Patreon supporters, and also a moderator on my YouTube chat.
We designed it. We had it made. We ordered
everything.
It.
Yep.
We didn't get it through another company other than D's company, but she's our partner. But we designed it ourselves. It's exclusive to this show.
And a semi truck came to our house and delivered them. Yep. And Kathy and I are boxing them all up and mailing them out. So the website is mightymagalion.com. And if you guys could help us promote them by, when you get your Mighty Maga Lion, post a photograph of it on whatever social media you use with the link, mightymagalion.com.
That'd be awesome.
mightymagalion.com. Post it on whatever socials you use with the link.
Show your friends.
And that would be great. All right, well, listen, we are all out of time for today. We will be back next time. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We will talk to you next time.